It is Tuesday, March 11th. It is time to get in the weeds. I'm Jeremy Lambert, back. I guess I never really left. I showed up, even from the hospital. Still showed up to work because, I don't run from the grind. Unlike Joel Pearl over here. SP3 is with me as always. SP3, how you doing, buddy?
How you doing, everyone? I'm doing well. I'm here on a Tuesday. Like I never left. Always here every Tuesday. And we're about to do another one. We got to discuss Monday Night Raw from Madison Square Garden last night, which you wouldn't have known it's the road to WrestleMania until you watch the final two segments of the show. But it was a good close to the show, and Madison Square Garden. I had a little bit of FOMO to start off the show until the show progressed and nothing happened until the final two segments. But we got to talk about Roman Reigns returning on the show. We got to talk about triple threats galore being set up. Maybe we'll have some fallout from AEW Revolution, even though you guys talked about it, but I can just do Joel Pearl's bit of, I didn't get to talk about it, so I'm going to talk about it again.
Did you hate Revolution? Joel hates AEW. So
yeah, I know.
I feel like you're reasonable. You like AEW for the most part.
Yeah, I like good wrestling. If something's good, I'm gonna praise it. I'm gonna praise it for being good. If something's bad, I'm gonna criticize it for bad. That's why I was in the comments yesterday. Like, why is Joel trying to make this a different conversation than what it needs to be? It's the issue with the Sunday show was that the main event shouldn't have been the main event in any way. It shouldn't have been that match. If you're going to do that match, it shouldn't have been that way. It shouldn't have been that long. It shouldn't have been that finish. It shouldn't have made everyone involved look as bad as it did. So, yeah, that was the issue with the show on Sunday night. Everything else, I can kind of get past. Outrunners and Hurt Syndicate went too long. I could get over that. The rest of the card was amazing. I mean, I thought Mercedes and Momo, you cut off 5 minutes, is a better matchup. The rest of the card was amazing. Had a great opener, had a great number one contenders matchup, had a match of the year candidate with the Hollywood ending, a match of the year candidate with the steel cage matchup. Kenny Omega and Takeshita was an excellent contest. Like, yeah, it was an all-time pay-per-view. It was the equivalent of a quarterback getting 7 touchdowns on 500 yards, and then they had an interception in the final 10 seconds. That's what I describe Revolution 2025.
They still won the game, though, right?
They still won the game. Still won the game, but like they could have had the perfect game. It's the pitcher who has the perfect game, and then they walk on 2 outs in the 9th inning.
Okay, that's a better analogy because if a quarterback has 7 touchdowns and 500 yards, I assume they're up big. Why don't we run the ball a little bit there? You don't need to keep throwing the ball at that point. A perfect game with a pitcher is better. Yeah, you got 2 outs in the 9th, perfect game going, and then you give up a walk to the last batter there. Yeah, that's a tough one. I like that analogy better. Yeah. Guys, if you're here,
I came up with multiple ones. I said it's the Jokic 30-point 20 triple double, but you were up by 2 and you turned over the ball and then the other team hits a 3. That's also Revolution 2020.
Yeah, but you still win. So
no, you're up by 2 and you turn over the ball with a 30
but 20 20. They didn't lose though. They didn't lose though.
And it felt like it. So sometimes it's how you leave them.
Guys, leave a thumbs up on the video if you're here. That helps us out. There's the fireworks. Leave a super chat. Get your question, comment, statement right on the air. That also helps us out. If you have not already, subscribe to the channel. Tap the bell for notifications. All that fun stuff. All that fun stuff going on the channel. We are here every single day, every single weekday, I should say. We're not here on Saturday and Sunday. We're trying to be here on Saturday and Sunday, and then I get sick, and it just throws everything off to where we're not here on Saturday and Sunday. We're here every single weekday, 10 a.m. Eastern, within the weeds, talking all the latest in professional wrestling. We're scheduled to be joined by Paul London at 11. Last time We had Paul London on the show. He was about half an hour late, so we'll see what kind of condition and he is in for this show. He's on the West Coast, so it's early for him. Bless him. I don't know if he sleeps or if he does sleep. He's only sleeping for like 20 minutes and then he's getting up. So you never know what to expect with Paul London, but it should be a fun conversation if Paul joins us at 11 or sometime in the second hour. We shall see when it comes to that. Otherwise, we're here to talk about Raw. We're here to talk about Revolution a little bit more. Do you want to say anything else about Revolution?
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of stuff to talk about from Revolution. It just depends on if you want to talk about it. You had to talk about it for like 2 hours yesterday. I got to talk about it for like 3 hours. I let out a lot of my angst because I went to sleep very angry. I went to sleep very angry. Yes, because I was like, that was a perfect pay-per-view until that main event. I was so upset. I was like, I don't think I could forgive Tony Khan for this. I was like, wow. Tony Khan, you will pay for your crimes. Because no, it's because like Revolution 2021 with the exploding barbed wire death match, that was out of their control with the finish to that show. With the finish to that show being a letdown to a lot of people, that was out of their control. This was 100% in their control, and everybody. I heard so many people on social media, so many fans, to the point that I would be dumbfounded if someone backstage didn't also tell him that this shouldn't be the main event, and he did it anyway. This was like it was one of those tone deaf, a late 1998 WCW decisions when they just kept dragging out the NWO in the main event, even though the rest of the card was really good. It was like late 2010s WWE when Vince thought he knew better than the fans. It was like Tony Khan. I expect him to have his finger on the pulse of the fan because he once was just a fan. But it was like he had his finger up his butthole, thinking that Mox and Cope was going to follow those 3 matches.
I think we're overblowing this being the main event at this point. Now we're too far going the other way with it. Because like everyone knows it shouldn't have been the main event. But now we've reacted too far that, oh, this was the worst decision of all time. You're talking about.
I didn't say it was the worst decision. It's the most.
No. I'm not saying you, but like other people, and other people are saying this. Like, I think we're leaning too far. The other way.
I don't. It is because it's 100% in your control, and everyone's telling you this isn't working. This shouldn't be the main event. And if you decide to then say, oh no, I'm right, this should be the main event, I'm going to go with that, then you deserve any type of criticism. If people want to say this is the worst decision he's ever made, I won't argue with you because it is a bad decision. It's all the signs. It's like you freaking have the big red flags everywhere. It's like watching Love is Blind when someone has all these red flags. It's like AD and Clay. All the red flags in the world, and you're still going to walk down the aisle and expect it to go well?
Here's my issue with this match being the main event and it not being Tony and Mariah. If you don't give that main event spot to Tony and Mariah, what does it take for them to get the main event? I think that's the troubling part for me because they had the best story. Everyone knew they had the best story. They had a culmination of a story that was over a year in the making, a trilogy there. It was literally called the Hollywood Ending in Hollywood. It was for the women's title, which theoretically should be on par with the men's title. If that isn't the main event because you think your world title has to be the main event, which it's not like the world title is main evented every single show. I know the precedent is usually the world title main events, but they've made exceptions.
Literally last year at Revolution.
Yeah, and if you can't make an exception for this women's world title match, which again, by far the best story that the company had going. What's going to be the exception in the future? What is it going to take for a women's world title match to main event over a men's world title match or Anarchy in the Arena or whatever other match they might have that would be the main event? Because that felt like the perfect mix of everything for the women. And when are you going to get that again? I just don't know.
Yeah, I've like lost. I think there's only like one exception for me that I'm like, okay, maybe that is because I think that the one of the best politicians backstage, and remember, this is me and Jeremy talking. Being a politician is a good thing in professional wrestling. The only good politician for the women's side, it seems, is Mercedes Moné. So the only big title match that I could see possibly making eventing a pay-per-view is Mercedes after breaking the record for the longest TBS title reign later this year. She says, I got one more title to get, and that's the AEW Women's World Championship. And her and Toni Storm. Toni Storm is right now has established herself as the GOAT of AEW's women's division, the greatest champion of all time. Her versus Mercedes, that should be the stars that you say, okay, that's gonna be our first ever pay-per-view main event. But you're 100% right. Like, I ended that pay-per-view and I was like, yeah, I don't know if you're ever gonna have a story that very much deserves to be the main event, like in the women's division, like Mariah and Tony 3. And I walked away with two of those feelings because I had that feeling, and I walked away with the feeling Swerve ending the show standing tall. I was like, I have no faith that Swerve's winning this title next month. Like, so you didn't even the ending wasn't even effective. It didn't even get me like, oh man, Swerve's gonna win the title next month. I was like, no, I'm convinced at this point that Jon Moxley has Tony Khan's family hostage somewhere. Because no, that should be the only reason why you think that this is working and that it deserves to be in the main event spot.
Joel pitched yesterday Darby Allin appearing via Everest video screen at the end of Dynasty and, saying he's coming back for the title, which implies, and he probably said as much, but I tuned Joel out, but it implies that Jon Moxley is going to beat Swerve in the main event of Dynasty. We trashed his idea because it's an awful idea. Thing is, I hope he's not listening to this. I'm not sold that it's not going to happen. I'm not entirely sold that Swerve is going to win the title at Dynasty and that they are going to derail what they are doing with Darby. Because if the plan was Darby from the start, if that was the plan, and it certainly seemed like it, Tony Khan hasn't always gone away from that. He likes to stick with what he's booked, and he likes to move forward with that. There's been some exceptions. I mean, the Danielson thing last year felt more like an exception because I don't think Danielson was going to be fully the plan until it was retirement, and then it was, okay, let's put Danielson in this spot and let's go full bore with him. But if this was the plan, then like if Darby was the plan from the start, then I could see them sticking with Darby and Jon Moxley wins at Dynasty. Darby returns and Darby is the one who dethrones Jon Moxley.
I literally have fans in my message when I put that tweet out that I don't think I can forgive Tony Khan for this near pay-per-view, near perfect pay-per-view that he ended with that main event when everyone told him that was the wrong choice. And I had people like, oh, you're getting worked. You're getting worked. This is what they want you to feel. It's good. This is Jon Moxley's doing his job. You hate it because he's the heel. I was like, no, I hate it because it's not good. Like that's what I like. I will accept anything. I am a true heel. I like the heels going over when they are effective heels. This is not effective. This is literally making people be like, I don't think I want to watch this AEW thing. It's literally an albatross on what has been a great product, over the last like a month and a half or so going into Revolution. And it was an albatross on a fantastic pay-per-view. I ended like I told Jimmy before our review yesterday. I was like, he would have had to talk me off a hill to give this show. I was gonna give this show like a 9.5, 10 out of 10, like before the main event starts. That's how high I was, because it was 3 a.m. at 3:30 a.m. in the morning. I'm watching this show after Osprey and Fletcher ends, and I'm like, I got all the energy in the world. And then 5 minutes later, like literally like 3 minutes into the main event, I'm just looking at my TV and I'm just shaking my head. I'm like, we all told him. Like, we all told him, don't do this. Don't do this. Put something else in the main event. Tony and Mariah was the perfect choice, but literally you had like 4 other choices on the card that would have ended the show on a much higher, like great ending or good feeling for the fans than that. And he did it anyway. Because and then he had the little line, if you notice his delivery of everything. Hindsight is always 20/20, but I thought ending the show with Swerve on top was the right thing. I was like, you were wrong. Hindsight is 20/20, but we all had that hindsight and you didn't want to listen.
Cyclops is better than Wolverine. Says it was the main event because God family cope. It was a bad call, but they move. We had Dynamite on Wednesday. Sure, it'll be a good show. Looking forward to John Moxley beating Swerve at Dynasty. There could be a riot in Philadelphia if John Moxley beats Swerve Strickland. That's why I wanted to happen.
It might get bad. Yeah.
It'd be great. I think it would rule. Just see how far you can push this. See how far you can push it with John Moxley and him beating Swerve Strickland. Because, yeah, I don't think people are going to like that at all. But it would be hilarious to me as someone who, these wrestling companies aren't dying. AEW's not going to die just because John Moxley and Cope was the main event. Whatever. Do some stupid shit that pops me. Like John Moxley beating Swerve when the entire fan base is like, you got to get the title off of this guy. You got to get the title off of him.
Like they are ruining the legacy of John Moxley in AEW. Like literally everyone involved in that main event came out looking worse in the process. Because Cope doesn't want a job. Apparently, he got his best friend to job in the matchup. Christian looks like an idiot for cashing in at that place. The Switchblade Jay White, we were talking about all the possibilities with him last Thursday, me and Joel, and they basically did the worst option, just made him look like an idiot who just walked away after he screwed over his quote unquote friend. Willie Yuta, they did all that stuff about, you need respect, and then he just did the most obvious move possible and helped Moxley again. The referee looks bad because he just allowed Christian to hit Cope in the head with the contract and just got stopped and just paused while Christian signed the contract. Could have rang the bell in that time as he's writing his name on the goddamn contract and start a new matchup. Who cares at this point? No one came out of that main event looking good. And Cope had to make the main event 27 minutes. That was the one thing that I will compliment you on that I did not realize. I just thought it felt like it was an hour. But yeah. When you said yesterday on yesterday's show that it was 27 minutes, I was like, yo, he can't be real. Like, this is a guy that complained about John Cena jobbing out in the Nexus at SummerSlam 2010. He was one of the guys backstage that used to talk about how Triple H would have 2 long matches like past his prime or late in his prime in the late 2000s and early 2010s. Yet he has turned into everything that was a WrestleMania big show Triple H. I need to have 25-minute matches and I need to have these big old epics that never work out well.
Oh, yeah. I said it yesterday that Cope wants to have these singles epics, and that's not his specialty. It's just not. He's good in the gimmick plunder matches. That's where he's good. There's nothing wrong with that. Certain people thrive in those matches, and he thrives in those matches. him doing a straightforward singles match, it can be fine as long as it's not 30 minutes. He can give you a good 15-minute singles match. I think 15 minutes, go out there, Cope does his work, no problem. He's had those in AEW, the TNT title run. He had some good, like 15-minute singles matches during that. No problem with that stuff. Him going past that, he wants to try to do something grander, and it's not good. And John Moxley's going to work to his opponent. And Cope's going to work that style, doesn't exactly mesh with John Moxley. You put Moxley in there with Bryan Danielson, going to be a great match. You put him in there. I thought the Punk matches were good. The all out match. I mean, the one match I was there for where he squashed him in 5 minutes, that absolutely ruled. But John Moxley, you put him in there with Darby. Those are good matches because Darby's going to bump around. Like Moxley's going to work to his opponent, and Cope wasn't the right opponent for him. And the work was what it was. It was never going to be, I don't think, a great match, especially at that length. And when you add to that length, it was like, yeah, you can kind of see why this failed. I think John Moxley and Swerve, by the way, is going to be a great match. I think the build is actually going to be pretty good because finally, since the start of the whole Death Riders thing, since the very beginning of it, when they dropped everything after the first couple of weeks, we're finally getting a established AEW name to step up and go after the title. Because that's what it started as with Daniel Garcia and Private Party and Darby Allin and all these guys. They wanted to fight the Death Riders. And then it just got dropped because Garcia went another direction. Private Party went another direction. Darby Allin got thrown down a flight of steps and everything. And then it became Jay White, Hangman Page, and who was the fourth guy? Orange Cassidy.
That's the other thing. The World's End main event with 4 people went 15 minutes, 39 seconds. Who the hell told these guys that they can go 10 extra minutes with 2 less people?
Oh my God. Like that match felt more about the title than I know it was the soul of AEW and everything. Orange Cassidy actually felt like he was trying to step up and stop the Death Riders. Once Hangman and Jay White got involved, it became a little too convoluted, and the Death Riders' mission was not the focal point at that point because it was more Hangman and Jay White arguing with each other. And I know Moxley tried to twist it. Oh, your egos are getting in the way. But then they completely dropped that. And then Jay White was still part of the stuff with Copeland and helping Copeland. And then there was no real mention of the egos because then FTR got involved, but then they were yanked out of that whole thing. It was all over the place. But the original point of the Death Riders was they were trying to take over AEW and they wanted guys to step up. This was, I swear to God, this was the original point 8 months ago when this all happened. I know it got a lot of convoluted and lost in the shuffle, but this was the original point. And then stuff happened, but Swerve is a guy who was like, oh yeah, Swerve should have been the guy. That was the problem with the Death Riders to start. It's like you're throwing Dark Order and Action Andretti and Leo. Like, no one cares about these guys. And what happened to those guys, by the way? Everyone was tried to say, oh, look, it made them step up their game and made them better. Where they at? What happened to them after all that? How'd they step up?
They didn't even finish that story. They did put a spark under Garcia, Private Party, and then you never even got a Moxley promo being like, you see, I made these guys step up. They never even finished the story. Like they just had that little thread kind of just fly out into the distance. They've totally forgot about it. And yeah, like you said, like having someone like Hope, it's just like this was a bonehead decision for what was the original premise of the story.
So I think Swerve coming in here is going to give this story juice again. You know, Henry mentioning Will Ospreay. Yeah, Darby's like, Will, come fight with me. And Will's like, I got to worry about the Continental Classic. Continental Classic's been done for 3 months now. Why isn't he helping with all?
Got to deal with the Don Callis family.
Yeah. So like we're finally getting a top level baby face. And this is no knock on Hangman or Orange Cassidy, who were both good in the spot, but didn't quite have, no pun intended, the juice to make it work at the time. Certainly Hangman, because with the losses to Jay White, he was ill fit in there. He was ill fit in the whole Death Rider storyline. I think Orange Cassidy was a good look as a first opponent. Problem is the follow-up after Orange Cassidy didn't go anywhere. But Swerve finally stepping up. Not really. I mean, it's his choice, yes, but also he just like won a contenders match. He's not even like, oh, I want to prevent the Death Riders. It's more just let's go get the title at this point, which is fine. I mean, the title's in this briefcase. They'll make reference to all this kind of stuff. But I think we're going to get a good build. I think we're going to get a good match. And then I'm going to cackle when Jon Moxley wins.
It's just like, you did it again and again. Yeah, I expect that match to be much better than the Cope and Mox. And I love the people that are like trying to make excuses. Oh, the crowd was fatigued. Oh, the crowd was this. Crowd was for Cope's entrance. And the crowd was fatigued after the Hollywood ending. And you know what Kenny and Takeshita did? They worked like freaking professionals and they got the crowd into the matchup. So stop making that excuse because you sound dumb, because like Omega and Takeshita basically did what Mox and Cope couldn't.
No, the crowd fatigue I don't buy at all, because the crowd would have been there if the match was good. The crowd was waiting for a run-in, and then they finally got it, and then everything just got convoluted at the end. And then the crowd was completely deflated once the finish absolutely hit. Now, if Kenny and Takeshita, if Mariah and Tony, if Fletcher and Ospreay were the main event, crowd would have totally been there for it. It was not a good match. It was, and it was too long, and there was no real drama with it. Like, they tried to create drama. No one cares about the Wheeler Yuta stuff. I'm sorry. No one cares that Wheeler Yuta is faking like, you knew he wasn't gonna hit Moxley. Like, when they both did the stand up, like, oh, he's gonna hit Cope. Like, of course, that's what he's gonna do. The Yuta stuff, people tried to surmise that like Yuta is the big piece to this puzzle. I'm like, if he is, they need to go ahead and do something with that, because him just despondent coming out and not really doing anything ain't really working. Like, no one's really behind Yuta with any of this. I don't think they want him to turn. I don't think they're like egging him to turn. I don't think they're feeling sympathetic towards him. Like, there's no connection with Yuta and what he's doing in this whole thing. And I don't know if they like have a plan either, because it looked like, when Moxley was sacrificing him to Orange Cassidy, it's like, oh, we're going to leave Yuta behind. And when they escaped from the truck, but then they got jumped and Yuta ended up being with them. It's like, oh, this is going to lead somewhere. Yuta's the whipping boy. And it doesn't go anywhere.
And like a month ago, he was the only one who was getting like genuine heat. There was a Yuta suck chance when he was at in the lead up to World's End, even when he was in the corner of Pac against Jay White, there was more heat on him than Pac and Jay White in the matchup, because people were chanting Yuta sucks. And now they've convoluted that by trying to tease that he might actually he learned what respect felt like, so he's gonna walk away from Jon Moxley. And that whole scene that they did on Dynamite with him walking away from him like he was a kid that didn't clean their room and got upset at their dad, and he's like, you keep walking, and then Moxley cuts a rambling ass promo. Like, me and you having to talk to Joel, like, that is not the big thing from Dynamite last week. Like, that was stupid, and that didn't make any sense, and it just sets up the most obvious thing ever that happened anyway, of him still helping Mox. And now they've convoluted the heat that he was genuinely getting a month and a half ago by doing that nonsense. So yeah, I don't see that going anywhere. I just want this to end. It's an albatross on what's otherwise a great product. Even the other issues that I had with the pay-per-view, like Hurt Syndicate versus Outrunners going a little longer than I thought it should. Hurt Syndicate is still over like Rover, so it does not matter. That's a nitpick. That's not a complaint. The Mercedes and Momo going a little bit longer than it needed to. Cut 5 minutes off. It's a better matchup. And the build-up being nothing, it's fine because you're now kind of positioning the TBS title in where it needs to be, in that it's kind of like the 1B title or the secondary title to the women's division. So I like the fact that we are doing Mercedes versus Guest Star, because now it's putting the focus back on the AEW Women's World Championship, especially with Tony having it back. So I'm fine with that as well. Like, everything else on the show was forgivable. It's nitpicks. That is the real complaint. It's the main event being the main event. It's how you did that main event. It's nothing in the matchup, from post-match to the finish to the work that they did, warranted it being the main event. If you literally do the same thing and it's the semi-main event, you still haven't followed the steel cage match. It's the semi-main event, and then you close out with the Hollywood ending. Nothing changes other than us all being like, that's a fantastic pay-per-view with no issues.
Well, they wanted to close with Swerve. They wanted the Who's House to close in Los Angeles. That was it. They'll be fine. We should go full on. AEW's dying that because they close with John Moxley and Adam Copeland. Fans will never purchase another AEW pay-per-view again because of this decision. How can they trust Tony Khan with their money that they won't get screwed over after sitting for 4 hours through an excellent pay-per-view just to be deflated? How can they trust Tony Khan again that they won't get screwed? That's my takeaway. That's what I'm gonna push. I'm gonna push that it's dead.
I don't think AEW is dead. They'll be fine, but they just really annoyed me. They really pissed me off with that decision that all of us told them was the wrong decision, and they just did it anyway. I have kids. When my daughter does something that I tell her not to do, it pisses me off. Like, that's what AEW did and Tony Khan did. I told you not to do that. I told you not to touch the chocolate before you eat dinner, and you did. You ate the chocolate right in front of my face.
Kids.
Let's talk about Monday Night Raw.
Kids will do that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dead. SP3. See. It's completely dead. AEW, don't watch Dynamite tomorrow, everybody. There is no Dynamite. Everyone watch Evolve on Tubi. That's the only wrestling show.
I did it. Joel didn't, but I did. I watched Evolve. I watched it before Thursday's show, expecting us to talk about it, and we didn't even talk about it at all because he didn't watch.
Joel's cowardly. That's why.
I know. It's only 45 minutes. It's a nice easy watch. It reminded me very much of like 2010's NXT from the WWE network.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very like it's an upgraded version of Level Up. Like, Level Up was a quick little show to get through.
I never watched Level Up.
Okay. Like, Level Up was definitely more focused on, you know, the kind of the talent you're seeing in LFG right now. But, you know, that's where like Obafemi and Sol Ruka and a lot of these people like were first wrestling on before they went on to NXT, and now where they're at on the card. Level Up was like, 20-minute show, very quick to get through. Evolve is a little bit better than that because it's just longer, but you know, it's more focused on the actual independent talent, and it still has the NIL people, but you know more of the names from the independent scene on Evolve. But it's a quick little wrestling show to get through. Too much wrestling on it, but the stuff that's not the wrestling is fantastic.
Hey, the wrestler that I loved from that show Kendall Gray with that spear. She got a better spear than the Yeet Man, WrestleMania main eventer, Jey Uso. Eat your heart out. Kendall Gray with that spear. I was like, let's go. And Danny Palmer, girl, you need to get some knee pads because that frog splash, you're gonna kill yourself one day. That frog splash was vicious. It was so violent. She did it with so much intensity on that frog splash. But I just don't like her new look. I liked her better when she was actually wearing wrestling gear. Her wearing the Daisy Dukes and the red cut sleeve shirt. I was like, I don't know about this. It's different, but I don't like it. So yeah, I like the opening women's match, even though it was strange because I remember seeing Carly Bright and Kendall Gray on NXT and they were cool with each other. They were like friends backstage. Now they're like the odd couple where Kendall Gray is a little bit more focused on wrestling and Carly Bright is still her happy-go-lucky self. So I was like, that's different. Okay. And I laughed. Evolve gave me one of my better laughs from last week in wrestling because they hyped up Trill London as a former Miami Dolphin. And then they were like, you got to see this guy. He's a great high flyer. He's cool in the ring. He's got this unique look. Dude gets squashed in like 2 minutes. Oh my God. I was like...
They're building him up for next time. You know?
I was like, this is awesome. This show 10 out of 10, no notes. and then the trios main event was a lot of fun. Cappuccino Jones, I like the charisma there. Him doing the froggy bow popped me. And Jack Cartwheel, I've been loving how social media has changed their opinion on Jack Cartwheel. Great stuff. I've always liked Jack Cartwheel. Oh yeah, and swipe right. That promo was awful. I will say that the promo before the main event was god awful. It felt like they were reading from like cue cards behind the camera. Like they had their promo up like that, and that's how they were doing it. And it was so bad. But the fact that they got so much of reaction from the crowd, it made me be like, all right, I think I can get into this. The crowd chanting "swipe left" was funny. And Jackson Drake was there as well, but Swipe Right was really the focus of the heel group. So yeah, I like Evolve. I'm gonna watch this week's episode. I've caught only, I want to say, an episode and a half of LFG. I need to catch up on LFG because I am gonna finish season 1 because I'm never gonna watch it again because of the announcement for season 2. Like, I got questioned by people. It was like, oh, why didn't Mickie James make your top 10 greatest WWE women's wrestlers of all time? I was like, because WWE never gave a crap about Mickie James, despite her objectively and legitimately being the best women's wrestler of the mid 2000s into the 2010s. She was the best women's wrestler at that time. They always picked someone else over her. It was like, oh yeah, that's nice. Mickie is cool. She's over with the fans. She's great in the ring. She can play different characters. Oh, that's great. But we got Maurice over here. We got Michelle McCool over here. We got Lay Cool over here. We got to pick someone else. Beth Phoenix. Oh, Beth Phoenix, she's a monster. We got her over here. And I love Beth Phoenix, but they've picked everyone over Mickie James. Like they never said to us as the fans, as the viewer, Mickie is the number one woman. She's the face of the women's division. They never said that. Even when Lita and Trish left and Lita drops the women's title to Mickie James, they literally never even said that then. They was like, no, we got Melina over here. We got Kelly over here. Like, they literally was always focused on the next woman. Never really sold us that Mickie was the number one star. And I appreciate everything Mickie's done. She's an absolute legend. She should already be a WWE Hall of Famer. But, like, the fact that WWE still to this day is disrespecting her and told her, and when The Undertaker says, Mom, my wife needs to be on the show. I want to do the show with my wife. And if you watch that, I watched a clip of her on LFG. I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to say anything about it. You know what? I changed my mind. You know, I'm gonna be nice. I'm not gonna say anything about it. But all I will say is that she didn't contribute much. So I don't expect her to be the type of coach that Mickey is. Because watching an episode and a half of the show, Mickey's the best coach. She actually wants to see these kids like progress. She sees something in Troy Yearwood, even though he was kind of nervous on his promos, but she knows he has like that raw talent, and she knows that she can kind of craft him of that. And nope, we gotta move her aside because Michelle McCool. Okay, y'all want me to say? You want me to say it, Henry? Michelle McCool contributes nothing. She's not gonna contribute anything besides being the Undertaker's wife. That's all she's ever contribute. What has Michelle McCool contribute outside of Lay Cool, where Layla was the star of the whole team?
I do wonder. Not so much wonder. I do question of replacing Mickey James with Michelle McCool. Because, like you were saying, this is not a knock on Michelle McCool. It's not. I don't know Michelle McCool. I don't know what kind of teacher she is. Her experience is her experience, but she hasn't been full time in like a decade. She comes back. It did pop me when she came back for the one Rumble and eliminated like 20 people. It's like, hell yeah, let's just give Michelle McCool this giant spot. That ruled. But like, otherwise, she's not around all that often. You know what I mean? Like, she hasn't been full time since 2011, folks. 2011. Mickey, at the very least, still relatively active up until the past couple of years. Still relatively active on multiple scenes. She was working a couple indie dates. She was obviously working TNA. She was trying to do her own thing with NWA and doing Empower and everything. Like, she felt like she had a real, like, she had her hand in the current state of the business and was keeping up on it and was staying, current with everything. This is why I don't think much of I know he blocked you, Bubba Ray as a personality and everything. I get it. He's argumentative and they think that, like, I'll give Bubba Ray credit for something like this show. I know he watches current stuff. He might not like
trainer. He's a trainer. It makes sense for have Booker and Bully on the show because they are wrestling trainers.
Yeah, they're trainers. I know they watch the current product, like WWE, AEW, like they watch that stuff. You can say what you want about their opinions on it, but at least they're watching it and they have their hand in the current product. Undertaker, he watches, I guess, current day WWE a little bit. I don't know how much he's doing like training wise, but I get, okay, it's Undertaker. He's a big name. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a legend. You always want to attach somebody like that to these shows, even though you got Shawn Michaels there every week and Triple H is there most weeks and CM Punk is showing up and you got all these people showing up. Like, is the Undertaker really necessary? Don't know. But I think it's a disservice to the actual wrestlers that they're putting Michelle McCool in there over Mickey James, because I think Mickey James provides much more knowledge on the current state of wrestling and what wrestling is looking for and what these wrestlers can do than Michelle McCool. Mickey James is somebody who had to almost literally eat a lot of shit throughout her career, like a lot. And she had to adapt and she had to find a way around all of it. And she succeeded through all of that. She's become one of the top females in wrestling, like across multiple promotions. Like she's earned her status as one of the top females. Michelle McCool was there for a few years, she was a product of the Divas era, but certainly didn't have to go through as much as like Mickey had to go through. She was the one doing the stuff to Mickey. Like, I think it's a disservice to the wrestlers, to the NIL people, to the people at the Performance Center, that they're bringing in Michelle McCool and having her coach over someone like Mickey James. And yeah, it's not a full knock on Michelle McCool. They could have replaced, they could have used Layla, and I'd have the same argument. There are just very few women who are as qualified as Mickey to be in this spot. They're out there. Don't get me wrong. Like, they're out there. And if they would have gone with them, my opinion would be different. I would say, you know what? All right, sure. She's actually, maybe she'll work just as well as Mickey. I don't think Michelle McCool is that option.
I agree. I can't argue with any of those. Like I said, I don't know what Michelle McCool offers that's better than what Mickey is going to give you. And no, we're not saying that Mickey was like pushed out. It's even in the report that Fightful released last week that they couldn't confirm if Taker wanted Mickey gone or that Mickey is choosing to leave. But they do know for sure that the Undertaker wanted Michelle McCool on the show with him, and the show has one female coach. So like, I mean, Fightful don't want to confirm it, but I'm just reading, and I just read context clues, and I just get that from that, and I don't know. It sounds like the Undertaker wanted his wife on, and WWE was like, okay, so we have a decision to make. We'll take her over Mickey James because the Undertaker is the star name of the coaches. That's what it looks like to me. That's perception. That's not a confirmation. But I think we've talked enough about the outlier WWE shows before we actually get into Monday Night Raw. I think we got like 5 minutes before.
We're not going to get too much into Raw because, you know, we're supposed to have Paul London join us here shortly. So instead of going deep into Raw with what's on the thumbnail and everything, that AJ Styles, Logan Paul, Andrew Schultz segment, whoever put that together, whoever decided, oh, this will be good for AJ Styles to get some babyface pop, y'all screwed up. Don't nobody like Andrew Schultz. Just no one cares. People wanted to see him get beat up. That segment was a complete mess, and them trying to they booked Patrick Mahomes as the heel in Kansas City. Like, them trying to use the Logan Paul factor, which is fine. Like, he gets heat, whether it's good heat, bad heat, he gets heat, and his attachment to people, again, fine. He's got celebrity friends. You want to use his celebrity friends to get them involved? Fine, that's your choice. You got to realize how the crowd actually feels about these people. Because so far, they don't get it. I don't get how you think we're going to heel Patrick Mahomes and babyface Andrew Schultz. What? Huh? In case you've been living under a rock, Triple H, people in Kansas City want to cheer for Patrick Mahomes, and nobody wants to cheer for Andrew Schultz. Just
Andrew Schultz trying to be the voice of the New York wrestling fans was probably as tone deaf as putting John Moxley and Cope in the main event of Revolution. Like, they don't realize. And I made a joke, and I love the fact that I had people in my comments upset about it. I made the joke yesterday on Twitter. I was like, is WWE becoming anti Kendrick Lamar? Because I know they got a weird case, but Andrew Schultz and Drake are around. What are we doing? And I had people in my comments like, oh my God, you're making it about Kendrick? Oh my God, you love Kendrick Lamar. Oh, why don't you go give a BJ to Joe Biden or watch the halftime show 100 more times? Literally, someone said that. Oh my god! I was like, wow! I got the WWE Schultz and Drake marks upset with one tweet. I was like, this was a very effective joke. I was like, I should put what Jeremy has in his bio in my bio to maybe make people look even more triggered and stupid when they respond to me in this way, because I put the Kendrick Hey Drake gif on it to make people know it's a joke. But they still didn't get it. They were so upset. Great stuff. I love when a joke works out that well.
How's Joe Biden getting
I
blown out of this?
I don't
Good for
know.
him.
I know. He's like get BJ. No, he said get BJ from Joe Biden.
Oh, so Joe Biden's gonna blow you.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, that puts Joe Biden in a tough spot then. Joe Biden's just minding his business. He's like,
I know.
I gotta blow this guy because he's a Kendrick fan? Shit.
I was like, what kind of connection does Kendrick Lamar have with Joe Biden? What does Schultz have to do, or Schultz or Drake have to do with Joe Biden? It was weird. Do
you think it's just like the initials, like JB? They just flipped that to BJ, and so they're like,
no, because they knew they were apparently this person was scared that BJ would be too much of a weird reference, so they spelled it out. They put BEE space JAY. Get BJ from Joe Biden.
Oh, maybe they're not talking about a blowjob. Maybe they're talking about like a bees. I don't know.
A bees Jeremy or something. I don't know.
Bees. Is that like a type of honey? Maybe we can talk about. We can ask about London about this.
Maybe we can ask him because he had the honey match. So it got real responses, but that's what I figured. And that segment, the first near 2 hours of Monday Night Raw were an absolute waste of time. Like, I was just like, yo, this does not feel like Madison Square Garden TV show episode of Raw on the road to WrestleMania. You got Jay and Gunther kicking off the show in the first dud that they've had since this whole feud started. And the real issue is with the Jay and Gunther thing, because we talked about it last week. We were like, I said, it's feeling very mid-card, and that was because it came after the whole hot angle with Seth and Punk last week, and the great Punk promo, the great pipe bomb that he did on Rock and Cena. But this started off the show. You had a hot New York crowd, and I'm just watching this. I'm like, he's going 50-50 with Grayson Waller for 9 minutes. Then he beats up Austin Theory. And then they just did the same angle they did last week with Gunther coming in and choking him out in the sleeper. I was like, this is not getting better. It's because they have 4 weeks of material for this feud, and they have to stretch it for 2 months. It's really bad. And this is the problem sometimes with shock booking decisions. Is that if you make a shock booking decision, you should probably be like, when you make the decision that you're going to go in this direction, you should probably have a well laid out plan for how to follow it up. Because it really feels like this was a decision to make Jay the winner. Was Jay's over. Jay's our top merch guy. Let's go with him. Everybody thinks we're going to do Roman win the Rumble. Everybody thinks we're going to do Punk win in the Rumble. Everybody thinks Cena's going to win the Rumble. Let's shock the world. Let's have Jay win. And then they didn't put any thought into anything else after that.
I think they put thought into how the presentation was going to be, as far as Gunther downplaying Jay and saying, hey, you're not worth my time. The problem is that story is only going to get you so far when you have 8 weeks of television. And that's why you've had Gunther facing Tozawa and Otis, and now Jay facing Grayson Waller, and next week, Austin Theory. It's just not going to get you that far when that is your story. A story they've done like literally last year with Gunther and Sammy. Oh, it's not like they're reinventing the wheel here. with this story, which is fine. Like, wrestling's wrestling. You don't have to reinvent the wheel with a lot of stuff. I think the story is like good. Like, I think the premise is good of like, you are the shock winner. I didn't want to face you. I was hoping John Cena was going to win and face me. Now I got to deal with you. Okay. But the problem is they're, like you said, they're repeating just so much. And next week I'm like, well, what are you going to do here? Like, Jay's going to beat Austin Theory. And Gunther's going to attack him. Maybe Jay thwarts the attack.
Yeah, Jay's going to throw out the chat. He's going to stand tall this week. But, like, I think that if they just added A-Town Down Under to this program to be some heels for Jay to beat, I think I'd be perfectly fine. I think it's the combination of having A-Town Down Under attached to this and Alpha Academy, two very much lower card to mid card acts. It's defining this whole thing down where this doesn't even feel like it has a shot to main event either night of WrestleMania. There's no shot. There's two triple threats on this show that carried Monday Night Raw last night that deserve to be in that main event spot on night one way more than Gunther and Jay. And that's sad. That's sad because they keep pushing. Oh, main event Jay Uso. He's gonna main event WrestleMania. It's like, is he? Is he? And it really feels like they didn't put much thought into this rivalry or Charlotte winning the Women's Royal Rumble, because that rivalry, oh my God, it's awful. That's awful. Like Jay and Gunther, they went 5 for 5. And then had a dud in the 6th week of their build, where it's obvious now that they don't have much story else to tell, and there's still 4 more weeks until WrestleMania. Yeah, that's an issue. The bigger issue is Charlotte and Tiffany. They don't even know where to start. It's sad over there.
Charlotte and Tiffany is the most hilarious feud, honestly. I got no choice but to stand, #bow down, the queen. Just the way she shows up and just kicks Tiffany down and just stands tall. It's like, praise me, and then moves on. It rules. Absolutely rules. Our guest is here. If he's ready, he can give me a thumbs up. Pop him on the screen here. Shall see. He's eating something. I don't want to put him on the air while he's eating. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if he's messing with the lighting. Let's see what's going on. Paul London is here, everybody. Oh, that was doing shadow puppets. I'm going to put him on the screen during these shadow puppets so everyone can see this. It's the arm of Paul London for right now.
The long arm of the law.
This is the worst shadow puppet ever. Jesus, put me on the spot.
It's from MLW. He's going to be in MLW Battle Riots on April 5th. He is Paul London, back on the show. Paul, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank y'all for having me back on and being patient with me and exposing me, really exposing my lack of talent.
I didn't want to put you on the air while you were eating. But what are you eating?
I think people are used to it. If they see me on the cafe, I'm always stuffing my face. I think it's just an excuse not to answer something. But anyway, I don't know. I have the worst, I guess, on the screen etiquette. But
well, how you been since the last time we talked to you? We talked to you before the honeypot match, and BRG tried to run away. He was not able to run away. He got dunked in honey. He got feathered. We actually talked to BRG. He's looking to get honey banned from like everywhere. He wants to go into people's houses and get it banned. So how are you feeling?
Oh, please. He would never do that. He's such a puss. I would love to see that, especially in Texas. Be like, come out here. I got some honey for you, boy. I would love to see that. That was a fun time. That was a really fun match. That was my first and only time I've ever been inside of a center stage, which I had seen countless WCW productions from there. But that was really cool. I'm having a ball at MLW, and oddly, my only 2 victories are against BRG. So I need to just wrestle him all the time, I guess. No, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. It's better than McDonald's. It's food, folks, fun, and fights.
Love the combination.
Oh, go ahead, SP3.
No, I said I love that combination of everything: food, fun, fights. But
well, I had to add something so that it would up McDonald's. But
you go to certain McDonald's, you might see some fights.
I mean, yeah, it depends where you are. I mean, I guess we were in Georgia, but I think a majority of the fights take place at Waffle House, so they get most of the. Well, you know, McDonald's, they do it right. They close the dining room, I think, at like 10. Sometimes, 11 or midnight. Sometimes earlier. You know, depending on where you are. If you're in some inner city area, they might close the dining room at 5, 6. I don't know. I don't like those places. Because I prefer to sit in the dining room, where you're not sure what that weird, questionable gunk is, like on the seat next to you. And you don't even want to wipe it with a napkin that you've seen yourself touch and pull from the dispenser, and you never take the first napkin. You kind of icky grab that napkin and you throw that away, and you grab that napkin behind it, so it's a more fresh napkin, because you honestly don't know these days if somebody walked up and grabbed a napkin, like, oh, people are disgusting. People are disgusting. Especially as I travel, I see just zero consideration for the person next to them, and people are gross. Like, people are absolutely disgusting, and a lot of that is just their lack of consideration for other people. That's the grossest quality. I mean, honestly, that's the grossest quality, in my opinion, is a lack of consideration for other people. I don't know how I just jumped on gross people while I travel, but they're out there. They're everywhere. Grocery store. It's not just when you travel. I mean, yeah, you travel out of your home. You travel out of your. I mean, they're gross, inconsiderate people in your own household, probably. We just need to be more considerate, or not. I don't know. It depends. Maybe people.
No, I think we should.
Not everyone deserves that consideration, I guess. Though, if it's like, well, we need to take into consideration the criminals and the whatever. I don't know. Just out in public, in your home, especially traveling, especially on an airplane or in the airport. Be considerate on a train, at a train station. Don't think I forget about y'all. Even the mega bussers, like, please be considerate. It's just like, it's not that hard.
If we get nothing from this interview, it is everyone should be more considerate.
Just the
cut a promo on inconsiderate people. This
is
great.
Love it.
Yeah. But I've been good. I went to Australia, which I loved. That's my favorite place. Yeah. So I went there and had some great matches. There's this team out there, the Velocities, and I guess they were fans of Brian and I's. And I wrestled half of them, and his name is Jude London, and I swear he's not my son. Well, I don't know. We didn't do a DNA test, but wow, this kid is outstanding. Like, his talent is phenomenal. And I don't really say that about a lot of people, and I'm not just saying that because he's got the same last name. But anyone in Australia, I'm sure will tell you. I mean, he's made, they both have. His partner's name is Paris, not Hilton. But he does have a little dog that tries to get away and kill itself. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. I made that up. Actually, I didn't make that up. I stole it from South Park. But I made that up about this particular parent. Point is, these guys are fantastic. They're outstanding talents. I know firsthand because I got to wrestle one of them. Well, I got to survive through one of them. It was like 1,000 degrees inside this gym in Sydney. And this is for this company, Wrestling Go. And awesome group, too. There's like a killer Pikachu thing that like attacks people. I don't know what that was all about. I won a title that's basically a watermelon. I still have it. I don't have the watermelon. I have the ranking. And so
you got like a physical watermelon, and that's the title?
I was hoping for that. Yeah. But I think for the sake of eco-prosperity, it's like a stuff. I think it's probably some plush wares thing. I don't know. I'm gonna work on it now that I'm the champion. I'm gonna work on possibly implementing a Japanese watermelon title, so it's one of those box watermelons, like a square one, but it's real, And I think we could attach some, like a weight belt or some cheap crap around it. Okay, we'll work on the quality, but we can make a title out of that square watermelon. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? The square watermelon?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I was just like, am I just talking into, I don't know. I'm talking into my Pop-Tart. But yeah, it's for right now, it's plush. I don't know. But I am that champion, the watermelon champion. I don't know what the hell it's even. It's like a 24/7 title. Anyways.
On the subject of
Velocity, check them out. They're amazing talents. Go ahead.
On the subject of watermelon titles and fruits, a wise man once said that when you're eating a fruit, you're eating tree sperm because most fruits are semen. I want to get your thoughts on this quote.
Most fruits are semen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A fellow wrestler said this. A person you're actually familiar with.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that they would be semen as much as it would be grown children.
Fruits are grown children?
Developed baby, the real, developed people, like tree people. You know what I mean? Like tree people. Okay, well, okay, because where does it go from being a fruit? I mean, that's the end of the rope for that. It's just either going to get eaten or rot away. It's not going to become more of a fruit, like a super fruit. Unless you're in Texas, you got some super grapefruits. Woo! But where do you go? Right? Where do you go as a human? You either get eaten or you rot away. So what the semen is in creating it, man. That's like the water slide, right? Well, I guess no, the tube, was it the God damn it, I don't even know my own dick. The dick tube.
The water tube?
The vasectomy tube.
Oh. I thought we were still talking water slide.
The urinary tract, that's the water slide. The water is, obviously the water is the semen flushing through. So that's what you got. But yeah, April 5th, this washes us all the way back to Commerce Casino. April 5th, Battle Riot. Who better, honestly, to be in not just a 30-man battle royal, because I proved I can fail at that by getting my head clotheslined off. But the problem, the deal with that, Rumble, Not enough combatants. I don't think I was taking it seriously, right? I certainly wasn't taking my friend Gene seriously. I was trying to get a itch. It was weird. He's got these things on his back. I was trying to pop one. Battle Riot, 40 people. Okay, I don't know if some of these people are men or what they are. I don't know. So I'm just going to go with people so they're not offended. Yeah, 40 individuals. And here's what's crazy. I'm new to this Battle Riot stuff. I know that Paul, my buddy Paul Hauser was in, I think, the last one. I think Jimmy Yang, he's Jimmy Yang to me. Okay, he was in the last one, I think, because I think that was in Atlanta or something. But that, pinfall, submission, over the top. There's a lot of things to contend with in that. That's it's pretty crazy. Has anyone ever done a caged battle royal? Anyways,
that would be interesting.
You can't throw people out, though.
Yeah, that's the only. You would have to climb out. You would have to climb. Yeah. Oh, the point of the battle royal in a cage is you have to be the last one out of the cage.
No, see, here's what you do: you make it Hell in the Cell style. Okay. So then, if you get eliminated, you have to stay out there. And then the last two, then it becomes, I guess, basically a lumberjack match.
That makes sense.
And if it's both feet hit the floor, then couldn't they catch you and then put you back in the ring to make sure you don't get eliminated?
Or there could be more people out there to pull you out. Then when it gets to the last, it could be to the last 4 people. Then it could just be kind of like a fatal 4-way, one fall to a finish. With the eliminated people on the outside as kind of like zombie jacks. Zombies jacking off. I don't know. Okay, just grab me.
I mean, WWE did do a zombie. They
did. Match, so. They did kind of do a zombie.
Crap. Come on, that was crap. That was crap.
Much prefer zombies jacking off.
Yeah. I mean,
they gotta go to the extreme,
They have to. I mean, a zombie is more likely to be, having a muscular neuro miswiring, but a twitch of something that he would have done before, and likely that's going to be jerking off. But not what they did on whatever, with Raw and all that. Come on. Zombie bites people. He tries to eat things. They try to eat things. Jesus Christ. That's what a zombie should do. So zombie jacks off.
A zombie jack off.
A zombie eats people and jacks off. I mean, that's humans.
Well, then they got eliminated. So they got zombified.
Makes sense.
So don't get eliminated.
I wanted to ask, how are you going to use your experience in the Royal Rumble in the Battle Riot?
I'm going to sit in the middle of the ring. No.
That's smart.
I can get pinned, though.
Yeah, you can get pinned in this one.
Yeah.
Auntie Anne's pretzel twisting crap done to me by one of these luchadors. I've got some ideas. I've got some tricks up my sleeve. I've been watching a lot of Lord of the Rings, so it's gonna be a riot. I'll tell you that. But here's something a lot of people don't know. And I'm gonna reveal it right here with y'all because you're my friends. How is Sean? By the way, I know he wasn't feeling very well or something. Please pass my best to him. I hope he's feeling better and recovering. And he knows how to get a hold of me if he needs to. But people don't know that I'm actually the Compton Mania champion, the world champion. I've been the world champion of Compton Mania for over 2 years and running. Okay, because Southern California is full of a bunch of wannabes who act like, oh my God, we're big stars, but no one's ever heard of them because they never leave Southern California. They never leave. They never leave, right? So it's like, well, you can't be that big of a star. So anyways, I like being the champion of Compton. Compton is very close to Commerce Casino. So I'm going to have my support. That's a shoot. I mean, I'll get my title. Hold on. Look, Compton is a beautiful city. It's an upstart city. Okay, it gets a lot of bad rep because of, music and perception, stuff like that. And that stuff happens there. But we do the Compton Christmas parade every December, and it's fantastic. There's a lot of community involvement and that other stuff that you think about, yeah, that happens. But there's a lot of other good things too. But it's a real underdog promotion, Compton Mania. I am the champion running. I'll give you a glimpse of the belt. It's nothing fancy. Okay, I'm just being honest with you.
It's not a watermelon.
Yeah, that's a little bit disappointing. It's not a watermelon. It's not a zombie jacking off. This has been one of my favorite episodes, favorite interviews ever on this show.
I don't know if Paul was yelling in the background. I hope he's okay.
I hope so. There it is.
It was at the bottom. It was at the bottom of a pile.
Oh. Big reveal for the Compton Championship.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, that's a nice title.
Right, so it looks like more of a U.S. title. And yes, it may look like it means I'm the champion of some radio station. We're working on getting that replaced. So for all you super rich listeners out there who want to contribute to a good cause, Compton could use your help. And this all ties back into Commerce Casino, home of MLW's Battle Riot, April 5th. 40 people with heartbeats, maybe.
Unless they're a zombie. Yeah, I don't know if zombies have heartbeats.
Or certain luchadors. Yeah. Over the top rope. Both feet. In some cases, all 3 feet need to hit the floor. Submission. Possibly sodomissions. Pinfalls. Winter pine falls. There's all sorts of things to happen in the Battle Riot. There could even be honey sticking things happening. I might have given away too much about some of my... Okay, here, I'll just give this away too. Think football, right? American football, where they use their hands. With the sticky gloves. Honey, just put honey all over your hands.
It's like little giants.
That looks terrible. That looks like I'm doing a Donald Trump double hose in the head. You know what I mean? You're holding on, you get the grip. That looked worse. Like I was in front of... I've given away too much of my secrets.
So
see, had I had a honey glove, I would have been like...
I think Paul London just took himself out.
Honey is the future. I'd love to see you try and ban honey, BRG. Not on your wildest wildflower honey dreams.
You had a promo a long time ago, and I mentioned this person. The person who talked about the fruits being semen was one Bryan Danielson, and you did this promo with
Vegan?
Bryan Danielson and PWG in front. Do you know what promo I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. Oh yes, I know it well. It was a shoot. I mean, I say that because it was a shoot. That was the first time. Here's the thing, in promo world, when you watch promos, I'm like, what is a promo? Something to promote something else. Something to promote something. So at the end of the day, you're trying to promote something. I don't know. I mean, we were promoting an upcoming match, but the reason I think that is something that people talk about, and Brian, even wrote about it in his book. Apparently, I can't read, so so because I get asked about that promo more than any other, or at least it gets brought up, and so very much, that I'm finding in acting as well, and that I think really services me as well, and I have more fun doing it in wrestling, is my biggest issue with wrestling is that it's so over prepared, it's so overproduced. Raw is anything but raw. It's overcooked. It should be Monday Night Overcooked, because it's just overproduced. There's no sense of danger. There's no sense of spontaneity. Even the things that should appear spontaneous. Now, mind you, they do the best job of it, unlike AEW, which I can't tell if it's a comedy show. Like if it's just like sketch comedy, that's at least how I see it. Because it's hilarious. It's hilariously. It's like, huh? And it's because both one company underplans and the other company overplans. So I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah. It does to me, but I think you guys get what I'm saying. So that's kind of my issue. So with that promo, it was kind of sprung on us and go. Like, can you do this and go, right? And so we didn't overthink it, and I didn't overthink it, and the whole thing ended up just becoming, okay, well, here's what I need y'all to talk about. Super Dragon, who I love him. I think he's an awesome dude, and I miss him. He basically said, hey, we need to hype up this tournament, this match that didn't even actually end up happening, because I ended up hurting my back and had to pull out of the tag thing. But he basically just said we need to promote that, right? So then it took a minute, and we went into the little bar area behind the bar that's where Reseda, where used to do the shows there. It's now an apartment complex, for those of you wondering. And we just came out, and I just kind of went off of what my day had been like, and all those things that I talked about happened. I did go to the beach. I did get a slice of pizza. It did upset my stomach. I did see seals wading through diving in these kelp beds that were, this is kind of up near Malibu, and then I did see a pod of dolphins swimming together all that happened earlier in the day as I made my way up and over. I would go the long way up and around through Malibu Canyon and then over into the valley. It would make sense to people that live in California, but everyone else was just like, the Californians, that's real. That really, people really talk about it here, actually. So that's part of, I think, why that promo resonated and stayed in a lot of people's heads, because that was the most me of any promo that I had done. And then I was able to kind of understand that a bit more, because at first I didn't understand why people, I mean, I knew people, improv is a very fun thing to do. It's a wonderful skill. I think it's a crucial skill for performers of any kind, especially though one as physical as professional wrestling. Because professional wrestling, there's nothing like it at all. It's the closest form to like vaudeville. Yeah, I can't even say like Vegas performance. I mean, now it's more Vegas-y because it's so planned and so timed and has to be, and it's almost to the point where it's like, we got to get this audience out next for the B show, or like, the evening show. So I wish it was still more carnival-esque. And I think that falls a lot on the performers to be more protective of it, but that's not what gets you likes, and that's not what makes you popular amongst the cool kids. And I don't know. I mean, just like this goof on TV the other day on AEW show talking about how, and then if the wrestlers taught me one thing, it's that they know they win before anyone else. Like, cut the feed, like, you idiots.
There's a lot of that going around. You got Rock in press conferences telling us that this is the cool story.
Rock is like J-Lo. He's like the J-Lo of pro wrestling, right? He really is. I think everyone's seeing that more and more. And like,
that is the best comparison ever.
Well, he is. He is. He's like, I don't know. I mean, I probably not that Hollywood's banging down my door, but I think, I'm just not a fan. I'm not a Rock fan. I've never really have been. I think the only time I was ever a fan is when his eyes popped out of his head looking at his pager. That was the only, I was just like, oh, this funny. But other than that, I just, no. I saw a guy whose football career didn't pan out how he wanted, and so he used his connections to do this other backup plan thing, and he ended up becoming a goldmine at it because he had this charisma that still is unmatched, but replicated by pretty much everybody, from like the Kennedys to, I think I love this kid. I've known him since he was, a teenager. I think he was, I don't know, 19, maybe 20 when I first met him. But Ricky Starks has the closest thing to that type of charisma, and a lot of people, and I think that's why people make that association sometimes. And it didn't help that Cope kind of made that connection in a promo. Is he really going with that name? But I've been thinking, I've known this, not the Rock thing, but when I watched Ricky when he was on NWA, I was like, this is ridiculous. He's clearly stand like above the rest of these people in terms of charisma and personality. This is ridiculous. And I think I might have even tweeted that out. Like, this is the next closest thing to Rock's charisma and ability, but not being the Rock, because like Ricky's his own type of street. I mean, he's like a street Cajun. I don't know how to explain it. He's awesome. And I hope he does awesome things, and I hope he gets to really blossom. But that's what The Rock is known for, is like charisma stuff. Like, whereas like Ricky can really do some badass stuff in the ring. Rock can do some awesome stuff in the ring too. But I'm just not a fan of this kind of Samoan takeover era, this nepotism era. I'm just not interested. I'm just not interested. So I don't watch all this modern crap. It's overproduced. But going back to that promo, I wasn't thinking about it. I didn't overthink it. I just riffed off of my day and tried to loop it back into. See, the thing with improv, a lot of times it's like you're stumbling down the stairs, but somehow you end up landing on your feet every time, right? But like, there's no way you could replicate that. Fall down the stairs the exact same way every time. I mean, there's a way to pattern that, but there's too many unknowns.
It's gonna hurt every single time too, though.
That's also true.
Get used to it. You gotta have a fat ass. And that helps. But yeah, Battle Riot. There's gonna be some other matches on there too, right? We got Mystico against Templario, I think.
Yeah,
Templario.
Yeah.
Which in Espanol translates to the altar temple altar sacrament thing. Champion man.
I think that's right. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Knights of the Templar.
I don't know where Paul is going.
Sorry.
I want to ask how you are using Lord of the Rings to train for this. You mentioned that earlier. How does Lord of the Rings help you train for Battle Riot?
Because you were with people you know, friends, on this quest, and you have to know that greed can get to any one of them at any moment. And so, yeah, I could already be out there. Maybe I clear the ring, Nash style, right? Super possible. And maybe it's just me and PWH, right? And he comes down, and I'm like, oh, cool, man. Let's just hold fort for a minute, back to back, right? We're like Crockett and Tubbs. I'm Crockett. And Paul Oderhauser's Ricardo Tubbs. I could see it. And we clear more house, right? Miami Vice style. Season 1, 2, 3-ish. But I have to know that, hey, he wants to show that he's more than just a guy doing this for whatever. You know, he loves pro wrestling. I can't trust even my own partner, right? I can't. He could turn into Viggo Mortensen, or actually more Sean Bean, right? So he could turn into Sean Bean and want to take the whole thing for himself. I don't blame him. I could turn into Sean Bean. Hell, I could turn into I like the worm tongue guy, but I could turn into Schmeagol. Who knows? This should be the Precious Riot.
The Precious Riot. There is only one ring, so I mean, I guess that makes sense.
There's only one ring.
Yeah, it's not like WCW World War III where there's three.
And not to mention the champion himself, Matthew Riddle. I mean, what was he thinking, man? But like, I know Matt, and he's like exactly what I was talking about with that promo. I love him. I'm a big fan of his work. Always been a big fan of his work. And I was a fan of his. Did I meet him first? And I was a fan of his work. And then I met him in Germany at like WXW. And we became like instant friends. You know, a joint helps sometimes. So we have common ground with people. It just you tend to gravitate towards people, but I'm really proud of the work he's been doing because he doesn't overproduce his stuff, and I think it shows. You can see who the like. Sometimes it's necessary, I guess, in some regards. I get it for commercials and ads and timing and blah blah blah. I get that segments. But there's so much in between that I just wish the performers would trust themselves more to be more alive and more in the moment and more, because then it's going to look literally as real as it can, because it will be, because that's how a fight is. But unfortunately, I think a lot of performers are so young and haven't utilized YouTube in the right way. And instead of, looking up territory wrestling, they look up some Super Saiyan stuff, or I don't know. And so they pattern their matches around manga fights and probably hentai fights too. And I just don't. I don't think it works, because I don't want to see, 100-pound twink dropped on his head 50 times and then hulking out. I'm like, I'm an idiot if I'm watching this crap. Right? I feel stupid watching this. And as I say in my seminars, or just anybody who's willing to listen, like, I can tell just based off of the lockup whether I'm going to be invested in this match or not. I can tell what kind of match and what kind of worker you are just based off of your lockup. And most of the times, the lockups are absolute dog shit.
Who has the best lockup you've seen?
Timothy Thatcher. I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. There's a lot of really good ones. Yeah. People who understand what a lockup is and what it's for, those are the best ones.
Paul, we appreciate
People
you joining us.
Yeah.
Oh.
Intent, young ones out there. If you take anything from this, intent. Otherwise, why are you doing it? Intent
lockups, and be considerate. That's the life lesson.
Yes, please.
Today's
Don't
show.
put your seat back on an airplane. I mean, Come on. I won't let you.
Paul, let everybody know.
I flew to Australia 15 hours. I didn't get two shits because there wasn't someone in front of me originally, but then this like weird gypsy dude scooted over when it wasn't supposed to be anyone in front. I was like, oh, good. I can just kind of like enjoy the movie. No, this dude comes over and like sits down. And I'm like, it's not going to fucking happen. I don't give a shit. You know, I blast the AC on him so he freezes, right? Expires sooner. And then he turned around and he was like, in there. And I was like, what the fuck? No, that last part, whatever. But yeah, I froze him. And then they eventually give up. Because you can feel the pressure. And you're like, no, it's not happening. I don't give, guys, you're not moving that.
Paul, let everybody know where they can find you at and what you got coming up.
At London Fu, at LONDONFU, like Kung Fu. So London Fu, it's the same on Instagram, Twitter. And for those of you who are looking to book my services, that sounds, I'm not an escort. Book Paul London at gmail.com. Put the date of the booking in the subject, and anything that is not a booking email, I will pass it around to my lawyer's friends. Whatever, it'll get discarded. It's a work email, please. Tired of the dick pics.
What?
I'm joking.
This is the greatest interview ever.
I don't know if I should ask if that's a real thing or not, because I'm afraid of the answer.
Probably will be now. God damn it.
Yeah,
No.
you set yourself up for it now.
No, I have a screener who reads these. All right.
He sees the pics.
He works in the church, yes. So he prefers a certain age. No, okay. I'll be here all night, folks. No, yeah, book Paul London at gmail.com. I will be in Vegas all week for WrestleMania week. And we do have a big Compton Mania title show. So for those of you in Vegas, come check out Compton Mania and see what it's all about. But I will be there all week. So for you promoters who don't have your heads up your asses, feel free to reach out, as I am taking select Vegas bookings. Book Paul London at gmail.com. It can't get any easier than that. The first 30 callers are going to get a special comic book. We have it in hard copy form now. Paul London, Hero of the Prophecy, right? Brought to you by Geekscape. That's my brother's company there. But this is issue 1. We had a very successful program, very successful Kickstarter type program there. Here's some of the artwork and stuff. It's yeah, so that's still going on at herooftheprophecy.com. I took these over to Australia, so they got the jump on it. But that's just another thing that's going on as well. I'll be in Vegas promoting that. And yeah, keep watching your Lifetime and Hallmark movies.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, brother.
Oh, Paul,
that was fantastic.
Everybody. I don't know what we accomplished, but we accomplished something every time Paul London's on.
I love that interview. The interview was great. We didn't even have to do anything. We just said stuff, and he just went off.
Yeah, Shucky Ducky that's not an interview. It's a revelation. That's what it is with Paul London. It's not an actual wrestling interview. Just chatting about life, getting tips about life. I feel a lot better. I feel like The Rock is J-Lo is really good.
You got
what a headline
you got to
that's
put
gonna
that
be.
as nothing. I was like, that's a headline right there.
He didn't like really elaborate on it, which is fine, but it's such a good headline that just The Rock is J-Lo. That's it. Oh, Paul London's fantastic.
That was great.
I guess we got to talk about wrestling now. That sucks.
How do we go from zombies jacking off to wrestling now?
Could you imagine Paul London like with his own promotion booking some of this stuff? It's for me. Like the shit he would book, 100% for me. Like, yeah, just zombies like jacking off.
DDT North America. That's what it would be. But we do have to talk
about Paul London.
About Monday Night Raw because it is in the thumbnail and in the description.
Rock's love don't cost a thing but your soul. That's good, Louis. That's good.
That's good.
I might actually steal that for the article. Might actually use that line.
Oh my goodness. Don't be fooled by the rocks that I got. I'm just Rocky from the block.
Don't be fooled by the $7 in my pock. I have a short pocket.
Yes! Yes! Oh, we could just remix every J-Lo song and make it about The Rock.
Oh, man. WWE Raw. It ended with Roman Reigns returning, and he helped Seth Rollins win this cage match. Sure. I thought this ending was dumb, but I hate all of the. I said it yesterday. I'm going to complain about Raw when there's interference in a cage match, and there was interference in a cage match, and it led to the ending. I don't like escape the cage either. I think that's stupid. I think it's dumb to do escape the cage,
especially when the whole time during the matchup, both guys were basically escorting their opponent to escape the cage, and then to have it end like that, it was just like, okay, I guess they did set it up with them being like, hey, go out the door, and then he I don't know what was Seth doing. He does the second rope stomp, and then he just sat there.
He was just chilling.
He was just chilling.
Looking. Yeah.
I was like, go for you were so desperate to go for covers, like the last 5 minutes of the matchup when y'all started spamming finishers. Yet when you do a second rope curb stomp, you just sat there and looked at him for a while.
He wanted to make sure, he was like down and out, because if he was gonna move again, he's gonna have to do another stomp. But before CM Punk could move, Roman snatched his ass and dragged him out of the ring. That was a cool visual. I will say that. It was a very cool visual. I just don't like the ending.
Thunderous MSG pop for Roman. I enjoyed the angle, the finish. I'm like you. I didn't really like it that much, because I was like, one, I was confused with Seth sitting there so long. Two, I was confused with the referee not closing the door after it was obvious they didn't want to go through the door. So it was just like it was too telegraphed what the finish was going to be, that it was too telegraphed to be that finish that I couldn't suspend my disbelief for the ending there. But I thought the match itself was great. I didn't think it was on the level of Ospreay and Fletcher, because those guys just did everything.
Different style match.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different style matchup. I like Seth and Punk's chemistry of of them just scrapping, especially at the beginning of the matchup. That really sold their hatred from one another. Just totally just swinging, making haymakers and everything. I like them mentioning Jeremy Roach was in the crowd, and that this is not the style that he would have implied here. I like the superplex off the top rope that they said was off of the cage, which was basically the safest way to do it. That was a really great spot and got a huge reaction from the fans in attendance. So I think this worked out very well. The finish withstanding, and then the post match I thought was superb. I thought Roman getting his revenge, the Superman punch, the spear, and then the stomp on Seth, and then him basically rubbing his face in the steel steps, threatening to stomp him into the steel steps like Seth did to him at the Royal Rumble was great. And then I love them setting up an issue between Roman and Punk, because I think that the thing that was missing from the three-way brawl at the Royal Rumble was, I felt like the three-way brawl at the Royal Rumble, you literally made it like obvious that it has to be a triple threat. You can no longer do a Roman and Punk just straight up matchup at WrestleMania, because Seth was the whole glue of the three-way brawl, because it was him and Roman going at it in the Rumble match, him and Roman trying to eliminate each other, and then Punk eliminated them both. And then Roman getting mad at Punk. He was like, we just teamed together. And then Seth stomping him to hell and taking him out, and then brawling with Punk. He was the glue and the centerpiece of it all. Now with the way they did this post-match, now Roman does have an issue with CM Punk, and it's all about him just being a jealous little bitch. He's just jealous. He saw his wise man consoling Punk, and he was just like, first he had the reaction like confused, then he turned from confused to, oh, okay.
Yeah, that little smile ruled.
He's like, oh,
that's so good.
I see what's going on here. And then he just throws him into the cage, again, spear, and then Heyman in the corner just like scared, like a battered woman. He's like, my real man is back. I'm sorry. I was talking to my ex, my tribal chief.
What was Heyman thinking getting in the ring with Punk to console him while Roman's out there? Heyman's got to know better than that. That's on Paul. That's on Paul Heyman on that one. We're gonna get some really good promos over the next few weeks between these three, and you could throw Heyman in there as well. There's a lot of story to tell with these three. They've told a good chunk of the Seth and Punk stuff, but you can always play off of their entire history. But Roman and Punk got a lot to say, and they've only done the one segment with each other, which was the sit down segment, which, you know, the overproduced family meeting that they did, where they didn't really play on anything. It was just, this is a favor to Heyman. This is all it is. That's all they talked about. They got a lot of history when it comes to Punk and Roman. And when they get in front of a live crowd and they're able to really go at each other with that history, much like we saw with the Seth and Punk stuff for the weeks leading up to their Netflix match, you're going to get some really strong promos between these guys. So I'm looking forward to the continued build to WrestleMania. Still don't love if it's going to be the main event for reasons I've mentioned, because Paul Heyman being on the line as the prize for the main event seems a little weak, but...
Or maybe the favor is he makes it a number one contenders matchup.
I still don't love that being the main event. Like, I just... It's not exactly... again, for reasons I've already mentioned, I don't like that you're boxing out the two Rumble winners and the women's title matches. I don't think that's for a match that has, fine, number one contender match, but like no stake at the event. So I don't like that. I think that's,
well, maybe the winner of the triple threat versus the winner of Jay and Gunther on night 2. How about that?
Then why isn't Jay and Gunther the main event though? Like, I know why it's not
worthy.
No, I know.
You're not worthy. You're not worthy.
That feels like the AEW, the international title series. Let's all fight to face Kenny Omega at the end, even though Takeshita is the champion. Let's fight to face Roman Punk or Seth, even though Jay or Gunther would be the champion. That doesn't make any sense. I just don't think it should be the main event. And the way to ensure it's not the main event is actually heat up one of these women's storylines. And they've done a good job with Bianca, Bianca, Io, and Rhea. I thought the segment last night was good. My issue with the segment last night is, we talked about this last week, SP3, the Rhea backstage digital, where she was like blaming herself and like showing a little bit of character growth of like, oh, maybe she realizes she like screwed up and she got a little too big headed and maybe she needs to take a step back and realize things. Completely washed that away last night. Just came out and blaming Bianca and dismissing Io. I'm like, did you just forget this 4-minute promo you did last week on socials?
Well, you see, because it was non-canon. It's non-canon.
Yeah,
it wasn't aired on this show, so it's non-canon. I liked Bianca standing her ground and being like you just mad that I was cheering for real. How does that make sense? I loved her bending down like I was like, this is true in character. This is exactly how I would expect Bianca to react. Like, how does that make sense? How does that make sense? I like that. I like her standing her ground, and I like Io being like, all right, y'all ignoring me. Y'all paintbrushing me in the face. I'm gonna slap it out of you. I'm gonna slap the out of you too.
This slap on Bianca was great because she like squares her and just basically said like, here, stand. Now I'm gonna slap you, instead of just immediately slapping her. She's like, no, stand, bang, rolled, absolutely ruled.
But I will say, both of those triple threats feel much hotter than the World Heavyweight Championship. So I wouldn't mind if either one. I think that I do understand your points with the Seth, Punk, and Roman, and this is another kind of consequence of the shock booking decision of Jey Uso.
Oh, is this SP3s? Oh, somebody in the chat. I think this is actually SP3s for once and not mine. Okay. So you're talking about the shock booking. I'm so used to it being mine that I just paused and was like, all right, it'll fix itself. But apparently it's not. I hope the show is still going. We'll see if SP3 comes back on. Like they heated up. You there? You good? You're muted now. Okay.
I think my kids did something to the internet.
I was like, usually it's mine. So like I just paused on principle of like, yeah, it's definitely my internet, but apparently it was yours. So all right. You were saying about the booking of Jey Uso and in comparison to the triple threat, the women's triple threat.
Yeah, and I just think that I was saying I understand your points with the Roman, Punk, and Seth, and I think like in a perfect world you would have had Roman, Punk win the Rumble, and then whoever didn't win the Rumble, they probably should have just beaten Gunther at Elimination Chamber to get the World Heavyweight title onto that feud. But we're not in a perfect world. We're in a world where Triple H made the decision to have the Shock Rumble win for Jey Uso, and he's booking Jey Uso and Gunther like it's a mid-card title feud, and the real World Heavyweight title feud is Punk, Roman, and Seth. That's the one that gets the main event attention. That's the one that either opens the show or closes the show. That is the one that has all the stars involved in it. That's the one that should main event probably night 2. If you don't want to do that, if you're so much against that, then yes, you have to heat up the Io, Rhea, and Bianca to a point where that feels like a bigger matchup than the Roman and Punk and Seth matchup. But I don't see that happening. I see that this is being pushed as the night 2 main event, and it probably should be the closer for night 1 main event. So it probably should close night 1, and then you probably open up night 2 with the ladies triple threat. I think right now that's where I'm at.
It feels like that's where they're going to end up when it's all said and done as well. Like, I'd be surprised if Roman, Punk, and Seth is not the night one closer. As much as, again, I've said what I've said on it, I've given my reasons, it would still very much surprise me if that's not the actual closer. And I get why it's the closer too. It's going to be, outside of Cena and Cody, it's going to be the hottest story. It just is. Yeah. Like, when you look at the star power of these three men, there's nobody else on the roster that has it. And, you know, as much as I like the Bianca, Rhea, and Io match, they're not on the level of Roman, Seth, and Punk. There's the only people who are Cena and Cody, and they've got their own main event. So they're going to heat up Bianca, Rio. I keep saying Rio. I just combine Rhea and Io.
Find them.
Yeah, Bianca, Rhea, and Io. They're going to continue to heat that up. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be enough to surpass Punk, Seth, and Roman. Just, there's too much history there, too much star power.
Yeah.
And as much as Rhea, Bianca, and Io might be a better match, and as much as they might get it up there, they're running a race that they're too far behind, and there's no real way to catch up to it as the main event. But like, Roman's return was big pop, setting up the triple threat match most likely for WrestleMania. Now they're going overseas for a bunch of shows. I do like that we get these shows live on Netflix instead of having to wait. You know, smart people, like, I think you did this as well, but I watched the live feed anyway when they did these shows overseas, so I didn't have to watch it. But now, like, if you for Raw, it's already just live, like on your Netflix account. For SmackDown, you still might need a VPN, or you got to watch the live feed elsewhere. But yeah, I'm very excited to watch the shows in the afternoon, and then maybe not have to do as much at night. That'll be very nice.
I can go to sleep early on a Monday. That's gonna be nice. That's gonna be nice next week. I mean, I won't have usually at, like, what it's gonna be, 8:00 here. At 8:00, I'm usually spending time with my kids as they're falling asleep, or my missus and me will watch some trash reality. Now I just have to tell her, you gotta wait for the trash reality until 10:30. 10:30, I'll be ready for our trash reality hour of watching TV. So
yeah. Anything else from Raw that you want to touch on real quick?
Well, we touched on the women's segment. I thought that was the other really good segment on the show.
The only other good segment on the show.
Yeah, everything else was a waste of effing time, except for Chad Gable. Chad Gable was awesome. Chad Gable gave us Owen Hart, Blue Blazer, Edge and Christian, Los Conquistadors attitude and vibes with him coming back with the mess and doing the beatdown, costing the LWO against the New Day. That was fun. Cody had nothing to say. Cody literally came out to just set up that he just came out to set up that him and Cena will be under the same roof next week. But it was literally like, oh, all your good material you used on SmackDown, and then they told you last minute to come on this show to promote Cena's going to be on the show next week, and you didn't really have anything to say outside of, I'm the captain now. Okay. That's nice.
Him calling himself the quarterback is the funniest little bit. I think it's hilarious.
It's very funny.
I'm the quarterback. All right, dude. What does that even mean that you're the quarterback? It's a wrestling show.
It's a wrestling show. No one's ever used these terms before, sir.
What do you mean you're the quarterback? Like, I'm the star player. Like, okay. Does he? I hope, like, I hope it's more of like a political inside than it's meant to be. For, like, he gets to call the plays. So, you know, if like Triple H is the coach, he's like, all right, yeah, Triple H is the coach. I mean, maybe this is the case with The Rock. All right, The Rock wants to come in. He's the new GM. He wants to shuffle things around. Nah, Rocky. We're still running slant Z go on this play, brother. We ain't running no halfback dive. Fuck all that.
You don't control all that here. Yeah. But I mean, it was very interesting that the MSG crowd did boo Cody. at times. That was the most interesting thing about the promo, is that there was the loud "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks" chant, and then there was loud booing when Cody said that he has the unfortunate task of beating his idol, or beating his idol for his 17th try at the world title, his last chance at the world title, and that got boos. That was very interesting, where I just was like, I hope that it's just an MSG thing and it's not an outlier for all the WWE crowds, especially with them going overseas, because MSG usually has influenced other crowds in the past in WWE. They always said that the MS3 New York crowd was the barometer, because this is WWE's home, and it usually dictates how other crowds are going to cheer them. And especially with them going overseas, I don't know if we're going to see more of this, because people, like we've said before, they love John Cena. They want to see John Cena, and Cena is giving you something that you never thought you would see, a heel John Cena. It did worry me a little bit, that reaction.
I think Cena's finally going to be on Raw next week. He's going to finally do a promo. I think Cena is good enough to get the crowd to hate him. I also think Cody has enough goodwill to get the crowd to still be on his side. I don't think John Cena, look, The Rock exposes the business every single time, because he's like, I'm just playing a character. But last year, during Mania, like, he leaned into the final boss stuff. He was going full bore, no redeemable qualities. I'm going to take your heroes and chew them up and spit them out. John Cena is already showing signs of that, just off the press conference, where he's not saying anything, just going to do the mic drop and move on, where Rock sits up there for 50 minutes talking about what a great segment it was. So I do think Cena's good enough to where he'll get the crowd to detest him as much as possible. There's just going to be a section of the audience that wants to cheer because it's John Cena, though. And for 20 years, they've been told we should be cheering for John Cena. And now that it's nostalgia run, it's like, well, now we really want to cheer for John Cena, because this is our last time to really appreciate him. But again, I think Cena's good enough to pull it off. And I do think Cody plays a part in that, of he is the type of babyface and has the cachet with the crowd that helps it. You can't do this if there's another babyface in this position. No offense. So Jey Uso would be my example. Yeah, they love Jey Uso and they love doing the yeet and everything. You put Jey Uso in this Cody spot, I don't think it works quite as well, because that's when I think people are like, okay, we like eating, but John Cena's over here. Like, we want to cheer for John Cena. The eat's cool, but like, once the match starts, now we're going all John. Once the promo starts, we're really going for John. Cody's got a different type of goodwill with the crowd. And Cody's, again, maybe the only person you can pull this off with.
I can say that. So we'll see what happens next week with them. But yeah, it was kind of a nothing show. It was hyped up as a big show, but in execution, it didn't turn out that way.
NXT Roadblock is tonight. There's a lot of stuff going on this show. We got Obafemi and Moose. I assume Obafemi wins. We have the Hardys. The Hardys against Fraxium. That'd be interesting. It feels like they might do some non-finish here. I don't know. Because I don't think they're going to put the TNA titles on Frazier and Axiom. But I don't know if NXT is super keen on beating their NXT tag team champions either. I truly think we're going to get some type of interference here, like Wesley's group or whatever.
I could see the Hardys winning to set up Hardys going for the NXT tag team titles at Stand and Deliver, and then that's where Fraxium win. And then they can do a title unification post Stand and Deliver if they wanted to, or they could just do two separate title matches because they don't want to do the title unification matchup. But yeah, I think that's going to be a good match, though. I think the Fraxium have the best chance to get us the best Hardys matchup since they reunited in TNA.
Jordan Grace and Roxanne Perez was like Jordan's winning since Roxanne, I guess, is on her way out. I don't know. Like, is she on the main roster or not?
They're giving her the soft main roster call up that they gave Braun Breaker last year, and Carmelo Hayes. They gave him the same thing where they have him on NXT, but at the same time he's on the main roster. He's showing up there, and it's not going to be official that Roxanne is not on the main roster until the draft.
And then the LFG coaches are going to appear. That should be fun. I hope it's the LFG coaches. This is mean of me to say. I'm sorry. It's the LFG coaches. It's Bubba, it's Undertaker, it's Booker, it's Mickey. All like clap it. It's like, give it up for the LFG coaches. Watch LFG every Sunday at 8 p.m. on A&E. They're all clapping. They're like, yeah. And they show like a trailer for LFG. Like, let's take a sneak peek of this upcoming episode with CM Punk. And so they show the trailer and they go back to the coaches, but now it's Bubba, Booker, Undertaker, and Michelle, and they're all clapping. And they're like, yeah, give it up for the LFG coaches.
Like, what? Hey, what?
They just don't say anything. They just don't say anything. They don't acknowledge it at all. They've just replaced Mickey James with Michelle McCool after showing the trailer. And that's it. That's what I would do.
WWE, to avoid the heat, they're gonna have both of them there. They're gonna have Michelle and Mickey there. Be like, hey, see, everybody's happy. Mickey's passing the torch to Michelle. Look at that, great.
Street fight, Javon Evans, Ethan Page. All right, they got to give Javon this victory at some point, right? Like, what are we doing if he doesn't get this victory?
I would think that they're going to do one more match at Stand and Deliver. So
really?
maybe you can have Ethan win tonight, and then you have a bigger stip for Stand and Deliver.
I don't know.
I think knowing WWE, they'll do 1-1 before Stand and Deliver.
Yeah, I think it's got to be 1-1. Like, it feels like Javon finally gets his big win on this one, and then Julia and Stephanie Vecker main event presumably for both titles. If Julia's banged up, then Vecker seems to be the leading go here. I don't know how I feel about this. It's a match, and it's going to be good. Like, I have no doubt about that. Like, it's going to be great, honestly. It's going to be a great match. The booking of it is just curious. But I don't know. How you feeling about this one, SP3?
I think that Stephanie is going to win only because of the reporting that came out. And I know there's been conflicting reports, but I think that there is something where there's smoke, there's smoke, there's usually a fire. So I think that maybe Julia is a little bit banged up, because I don't understand why you would do this match unless it's like to necessitate one of these women walking out with both titles. So I hope it's not a non-finish, because that's what I thought we were going to get when it was initially announced, because they have gone heavy to say that one woman will walk out with the NXT Women's Championship and the Women's North American Championship. So you have to deliver a finish, and I would go with Stephanie, because I feel Stephanie has also been the better of the two since they got here.
If this is the main event, you can't do a non-finish. You just don't do that. Now, we talked about maybe a time limit draw was a possibility.
They don't do time limit draws. It's not a possibility.
They don't do it, and this show has so much on it already that, like, you're not really carving out 30 minutes for this match. Like,
and if they announce a time limit, that's obvious. That's too obvious. They're telegraphing it, because they never announce time limits.
Yeah. I assume Vecker is going to win based on Julia being banged up, and then how they book around after that. We'll see in the coming weeks, but looks like it'll be a good show. It's at the theater at MSG, so we shall see if that's where they end up. They're just how good the show is, but it should be a big show. Should be a big show. All right. Anything else, SP3?
Nothing else on my end. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. I'll be live in like 40 minutes on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel to give more of a in-depth review of Monday Night Raw last night, even though I really don't want to, but I'm committed to the bit. Rated Raw review. Unfortunately, I like Jeremy, have a co-host who runs away from the grind, so Romeo won't be joining me, but I will be joined by someone who never runs from the grind, who's always coexisting with the grind. Rob Wilkins will be joining me to review Monday Night Raw, so join us for that at about 1:05 p.m. Eastern time.
There you go. We'll be back tomorrow, everybody. Joel will be back hating on AEW, I'm sure. He'll lament that AEW has nothing announced for tonight. And or for tomorrow, sorry, AEW's tomorrow. So by tomorrow's show, maybe they'll announce.
They announced we're going to hear from Kenny Omega and MJF.
Hear from this winner and this loser. And that's where we're going. MJF and Cope is going to be the next program, and I'm going to have a hard time with that one. It's a hard time with it. Appreciate you as always, SP3. We'll be back tomorrow, everybody. Thanks, everybody. And if you haven't, leave a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel. Tap the bell for notifications. Thanks to Paul London for joining us here today. We'll be back tomorrow. And the weeds, everybody.